Good evening, Western Hemisphere, and welcome to Tinker Tailor Solder Fry, the Let's Try program here on the mighty Loading Ready Live Video Entertainment Network. I'm your host, as always, Ian Horner, and joining me today is, well, from behind the desk, Paul Saunders.
Yeah, this is good. I'm usually Bija's with us here running tech this time.
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
But usually I'm behind the desk, but this project is something that I've actually wanted to do for a while.
Yeah, we've had this on the docket for a good number of months here.
And this is part of my along with the a while ago we did there was like a making SDI cables. This is my hey, you're building all this cool stuff. Could you make this piece of technology that we need for our streaming setup? And so the idea behind this is something that I feel like a lot of people have encountered, but maybe you probably don't encounter it as much as we do because you don't. When you're doing streaming, especially with a lot of different monitors, it happens reasonably often. This idea of when a monitor, especially on a computer, when a monitor disconnects, the computer, depending on your configuration, the computer can kind of freak out. It'll reset itself, and depending on how smart it's trying to be, sometimes it will reorganize where all your icons are.
Displays move different positions.
All your windows will move around or shuffle themselves. And now I have to say Windows 10 has a lot of issues, but the latest or the recent creator update for Windows 10, I feel like has actually improved this a little bit.
Right.
Because in the old Moonbase, when we were running the main streaming thing on Windows 7, it was it caused a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Like it would Windows would move around and be like on a monitor. Like there would be like the window that you wanted to access was on a monitor that wasn't connected anymore.
Yep.
So anyway. The idea here is that what you can do is prevent the computer from realizing that the monitor has become disconnected.
That's right.
So there's a number of ways of doing this, and with varying levels of complexity
And cost, too.
and cost. Yeah, it's something actually that I've learned over the years of doing stuff especially for streaming, is that. Especially for AV stuff, any problem you have in terms of converting one thing to another thing or getting a signal in a certain way, you can probably get a black box with a thing on one, with a port on one end and another port on the other end that will do that thing.
And some sort of Eastern magic inside it.
Yeah. For between $50 to $500.
Yep.
Depending on what it's doing and how good a quality of whatever that thing is. But the problem with that is that you do that too much and you end up with like 10 boxes in series.
And if you've got a digital signal, probably not a problem, but you want to reduce that sort of daisy chaining.
You start having latency and stuff.
Oh, yes.
So one thing you can do to do this is something called DVI Doctor or
the HDMI doctor?
HDMI Doctor, not DVI Doctor. HDMI Doctor or HDMI Wizard, or and basically the idea is that again it's a little box, and what the important piece of information here, an HDMI cable obviously has a whole bunch of different pins on it.
Right. All of them have a purpose.
And one of the things that's transmitted is called the EDID.
Right.
Electronic device identifier or something, which basically that's the thing that tells your HDMI whether it's what resolution to display at and all that kind of stuff.
And there's software out there that you can get for Windows that you can modify your EDID profiles and say, like, this is an auto detection thing, this is a static monitor, it never changes, or what have you.
Yeah. And these HDMI doctor things will have you can get things that'll basically record the EDID signal and then replay it.
Right, because part of what it's doing is telling your operating system what resolutions it supports and what sync rate to go on.
So if you want to say plug in you could use one of these things to plug in a monitor that wouldn't normally be supported.
Right,
or something like
or
that.
to force it to a 30 frames per second refresh rate or what have you.
Right. So, but so you can get boxes like that. They cost usually sort of $100 and up, and they can do all sorts of fun things. But for what we want to do, it's actually a lot simpler. Because all we want to do is make it so that the computer doesn't know that the monitor has been unplugged.
Right.
And it turns out that in order to do that, there's a trick. The HDMI plug has however many pins on it, and one of those pins is used to send basically like a wake up signal.
Okay.
And and so when that's unplugged, it's no longer receiving that signal, and it goes, oh, okay.
Okay, that's pretty simple then.
So what you can do is take what we got here, which is this is just an HDMI
It's an angle adapter, isn't it?
angle adapter. Yeah, and it's using an angle adapter just because it gives more sort of access. And what you can do is basically short circuit or connect that that pin to the to the power or to the ground or to the power.
We can get into that fact.
Okay,
but
yeah.
I've been
Basically, you wire that pin to another pin on and short circuit it, so that pin, according to the computer, that pin is always active.
okay. So we're going to be doing that with the probably the voltage then.
Right.
Okay.
And so that way the computer doesn't know that it's been unplugged. And then you can sit there. So ideally, if this works, we will be able to, like for instance with this iPad, we'll be able to plug it into a monitor. The iPad will go, oh, I'm plugged into a monitor. It'll come up on the monitor. We can then unplug it, and the iPad will still think it's connected to a monitor.
Which is what we
and
want
it
on
won't
that
flash or blink or change or anything.
thing. Right.
That's what we're hoping.
I think I tried doing this once before in a less, I want to say, elegant manner. The solution I managed to find was suggesting that I just put some electrical tape over pin 19 on the HDMI port, which was strangely easier than I thought it was, actually.
I believe so. Like pin 19 is the pin that we're talking about here. But now, from what I understand, putting electrical tape on it, that would just make it so it doesn't detect it at all.
Exactly, which is not, it was not helpful.
Yeah, it seems like that would just never think that there's nothing plugged in all the time, which is exact opposite.
Yep.
So, from what I understand, the idea here is that because there is power obviously going through an HDMI cable. There's 5 volt,
Right.
and so you can wire that to the other port with a resistor or something to it. So that what I have described there, you wire one thing to the other thing with a resistor or something, is like the extent of my knowledge, and that's sort of like I was talking to Ian, and I was like, so I have this like article on this forum about like how to do this, and they say you can wire the thing to this. Is that a thing we can do? And
Well, hey, why not?
thought we'd give it a try.
The nice thing is these things are, they're inexpensive enough that we can experiment, but yeah. Right. Oh, I should mention it. Yes, today is, because people have been asking, today is not the tofu creation stream. We'll be doing that in 2 weeks' time because Kathleen wasn't able to make make this particular episode.
Also, Ian, the chat has been going nuts, wondering where you got that apron.
Yes, we should probably put that up. This was a gracious gift from Scallakitty in the chat, so I want to say thank you so much, Scallakitty, for this very handsome apron.
Can you show the rest of it?
Yes, indeed. It's not just the name, but also the unofficial mottos: ever forward, never learning, safety third.
Wonderful.
Which is
Thank you very much.
absolutely lovely. Thank you so much. And now I've got pockets too, which is a dangerous thing to have. So I guess the first thing we're going to have to do here is find our way into these little guys, right?
Yeah.
What do you think is the best way to get into this?
I mean, there's a seam.
Yep.
Where there's a seam, there's a way. I mean, there isn't obviously. It would be nice if there are like screws and stuff.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Oh, right here. Yes, perfect. Because I know that in here, I think we have a spudger, so that we can avoid damaging it too much. I think one of those might be able to get forced in there,
Oh, I see.
and then we can try cracking it open using that. And if that doesn't work, then out comes the out will come the bladed tools. Just make sure I'm not missing. Ah, there we are. Nope, nope. There we go. All right.
I think this
Might be a bit too big.
might be a little bit tight. I think we may need the aforementioned bladed tools.
Okay.
You
Start with those, I guess. Yeah, this is probably not a two-person job. Do you want to give that a try?
I'll give that a shot.
Yeah. And meanwhile, I'll do the next job, which is trying to figure, because we're going to need a resistor for this. We're not just going to short it out directly. Right? Did you manage to find out why we're using a resistor?
I believe the idea is that the straight 5-volt from the power pin is too much.
Just would be a little bit dangerous.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
The like I was saying, going from this sort of forum article.
Which is something we can probably put in the show notes if need be. I'm going to have a look through this pile of electronics that I managed to pick up from a dumpster diving session. Let's be honest.
Oh, really?
Not really a dumpster diving. It was next to the trash. I think I think this was at the U of A.
Dumpster adjacent.
Years back, because it's it appears to be an electrical engineering. It doesn't even appear to be. It is right there. Electrical engineering technology equipment set from 2003/2004, specifically for the ELT 223 course. So we got we got diodes, we've got NAND gates, XOR gates, a 220 ohm 8 resistor dip.
Zor gates are for letting Zor in.
And some of these 8 segment displays, but a big pile of resistors. So I think we've got, but yes, we have 8 10K resistors.
Shorting power to ground through an IC without resistor anywhere will likely kill that IC.
Good to know.
Why are you knifing an HDMI connector? Because I want to open
We're
it.
trying to get it open. And the knife is the safest way to do so. So I'm going to need to pull up a resistor guide because that's something I never learned how to
Okay, that's definitely coming apart.
read.
Right, because there's the like resistor color codes.
Bands. All right, thank you, Google, for making that super easy for me. I need it to be brown, black, orange, yellow. Oh boy. Well, this is going to be easier than most because, again, there is supposed to be 8 of these compared to anything else. Sorting resistors, always an exciting time. We can probably get a top-down shot on that at least.
Close enough.
That's not... There we go. Follow along at home, see if you can find them before I can.
We can all see the top of your head.
Ooh.
That's fine. It's 3 people in the studio today. This is going to be a little weird for camera angles.
I think it'll be fine.
I think it'll be just fine too.
So I think what I'm looking for is the ones with the yellow on them. Let's see. No, that's not quite there. That's gold. Oh, wait. No, that's purple. Damn it. We're so close. That is supposed to be... No, it's brown, black, orange, gold, says the words. So that's why. I'm wrong. And orange looks more brown than anything else. red gold. So that's not right. Where's that orange? No, orange is definitely orange. I think this is why you buy these sorts of things in a shop when they're already listed for you as to what they are.
So you don't recommend dumpster diving your resistors?
No, not your resistors. But there is one more mod that you were mentioning on this that is going to be a bonus bit that I think I would recommend some dumpster diving on. Because we're going to give this a try just to actually see if we can get it to work, period, right?
Yeah.
And that's step one. Step two, we want to actually add into there a button of some sort so that we can actually have it detect or redetect if we want it to.
Right, so we can sort of re-enable, we can override our override, I guess.
Exactly. And wow, that is a very, that's a very close image to me. Nice, good find, Arclight.
Archival photo. Ian in his natural habitat.
Ooh.
In the dumpster.
You'd be surprised how much good stuff people just throw away. I mean, that's...
I mean, there was beach that one time.
Yeah.
I catch
And then that other
so
time.
much shit
For what?
for being like, oh look, there's a vacuum on FreeCycle that somebody's getting rid of. I could fix that. Why are you doing that? Why do that? But the vacuum works. All I have to do is seal up the hole that's in it, and I could give that to a friend, or I could sell it for more money. Or it's like, no, don't. I could bring it on Tinker Tailor and have a project.
That's a good reason.
Yeah. It turns out that I actually need a part to replace on the thing, or I need a whole bunch of Sugru, and I don't think I have enough Sugru to fix the problem.
I think that's one of those things where a 3D printer might not be a bad idea too.
Well, because I was thinking you can use it. The part literally has the words ABS stamped on it, and I'm like, oh well, you can buy glue that welds ABS to ABS.
Yes, but not great.
I feel like I'm making progress here, but it's not.
It's not coming all the way.
Yeah, like it's definitely.
We might need to just... Oh.
I mean, it's sort of disconnected, but I don't know what's happening in this.
Something might need to snap in this.
Like there's some sort of maybe clip there.
Catch.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm definitely sure that this is generally supposed to be one-way assembly.
Yeah, that's for sure. This is not a normally user serviceable item. So the interesting, so what we're doing here, there is actually a semi-commercial product called Monitor Detect Killer.
I wonder what that does.
Rather bombastic, which is basically this. It's somebody has done,
Right.
presumably they have done it like 100 times and they know how to do it properly.
Yeah, charging $20 for it.
Yeah, and charging $20 for it, which in comparison to like the doctor thing, if that's all you need.
Oh yeah, it's a factor of 10 less.
It's a good deal. And that if we weren't doing this as a Tinker Tailor thing, that's probably what I would do.
It might be, it would definitely be a lot easier.
But I mean, it doesn't say easy anywhere on there.
Yeah.
Would you like to try some dentist tools?
Ooh. Hey.
Ah, these are just dented. This is just a pokey. This is literally just like a shiv. Why do we have this?
In carpentry, we call it an awl,
Tinker
because
Tailor.
it solves all your problems.
Tinker Tailor pro tip: if your dentist has Mastercraft branded tools, you should choose a different dentist.
Yeah, check the sign outside their place. I mean, this is definitely like a part now, but it's just still attached somewhere.
I'm just realizing this. I think we actually need to do we need to go from the other end, or does it matter? We're going to find out.
I have no idea.
I'm going to check the some of the pictures here, but oh yep, it looks like they're going from the back end like that. Okay.
I mean,
this
theoretically either the wiring can happen on either side.
theoretically.
So do you think? I'm wondering whether this is sort of can be done. Whether this like can be done in a non-destructive way.
Well, looking at the photographs here that the other people have used, yeah, it looks like it just comes off and it's glued at certain points, or at least heat tacked together. But yeah, there might need to be some snapping going on. Which, as long as they're clean snaps, we can glue back together. What I should probably do is grab the power cord from around here and get that soldering iron heating up. Nope. I'll also hook up that monitor for us so we can get this tested. Maybe not there. We'll just keep this here for now.
Wire cutter is not a good idea. It's
It's the knife we have.
yeah. It seems like an actual fairly good thing for this particular purpose.
I think the worry that they have is that it's going to snap itself off in your hands.
Oh, I see.
But
I figure by keeping it fairly
yeah,
short.
keeping it before the first snap. But
It's not. I don't know what's attached still.
oh, I think I know what might be going on here.
Huh?
If I could.
Yeah.
This part is actually being blocked by there. So if you want to get that part, the top bit to lift off like that, we need to open up the, keep that area clear.
So
So yeah, let's keep jamming along that line there. Okay. There we go. That's one side. And then let's get that other side going as well. Come on. Get in there. All right. Yeah, I think just applying a little bit of force is what's going to have to happen here.
Like percussive force?
No, it's just very well sealed at that back end. I'm a little worried. Yeah, you're not wrong. There we go. That's the sound we like to hear. And then the other side.
when you're trying to wedge something open, yeah. Usually that's a very bad sound.
That's not the sound you want to hear from something that's non-plastic.
Ooh, nice.
There we go. Perfect. Clean. And yeah, it was just glued on there. It looks like all
I
the way
see.
across.
Nicely done.
Okay, so these things are...
Sufficient application of force. Have we broken it?
I think, yep, we did.
Well,
We've got one broken wire in this one already.
okay.
Is it the right one?
No,
That would have been great.
Yeah.
that would have made things a lot easier. But which one is that? God, they're so tiny. I can't even tell. But it's definitely one of the ones in the middle, which is not one of the ones we need to be done correctly. And I don't know if that's going to be large enough for us to resolder either. Well,
This is why we have multiples.
things we've learned already.
I see, yeah. It is it is a very, very small wire. I guess even some sort of bridgey thing there probably won't really.
We could try tinning it together. Which, yeah, why not?
I mean, yeah, we might as well give it a shot.
Yep.
At least, we can experiment with this as a tester and then. So, yeah. So the idea here is that we want to attach, figure out which one is the correct pin, and then do the rewire thing.
Right. So thankfully, we've got a wiring diagram set up here for us. We just swap it over and go to the overhead. Yay! Except, yay! There we go. So we need to take pin 19 and bridge it with pin 18 inside, which is going to be fun. So, looking at that one, it looks like pin 19 is the top far right from this side, if that's coming in.
Right.
From this direction. Top one, and then it's, I guess, the bottom one as well from that same set. So this wire and this wire. I mean, I'd be personally tempted to just go right off the bar. Oh no, that's not the wire. That's the grounding shielding from the outside. Interesting. I'm still interested in trying to get this wire into a better position for... Aha! I found out which one it is. And it's the middle of the bottom. Which one is that?
TMDS clock plus or minus, perhaps?
It looks like one of the... Oh god, please...
Or TMDS channel 0 ground?
Okay, so coming from the bottom, it looks like there are...
It's not 14, is it? That would be great.
Yeah, it really would.
If it's the third one in from the left-hand side on the bottom.
Third one from the left-hand side on the bottom.
That one there.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That happens to be a not used pin, so that would be great.
What if it was already broken?
Ooh, you know,
maybe you did nothing wrong. You just found out that these are really crappy.
That I like, but let's just say that's what happened.
You know what? I'm actually kind of curious to see what happens if we plug this in
Just
as
now?
is. Yeah.
All right, let's give it a shot.
Why not? That's not supposed to happen. Let's bring this into view here.
I like the idea that you take this back to the store. Yeah, so I was just prying it open
And it just stopped working.
with a screwdriver, and one of the wires inside was already broken.
And I don't think
That's very believable.
I hear it didn't work that well for Linus on his Tech Tip show, so I'm pretty sure it's not going to work that well for us.
When you have a second, Ian, can you double check where your mic has escaped to?
Has it run away?
Just underneath the...
Okay.
There we go.
Cool.
All right, and I think the... Oh no, I think the remote may have fallen over there.
Nope, there it is.
Ah, perfect. Although I think HDMI already on.
Okay. So first we can just plug it in and then it will work,
Let's make sure that works that way.
presumably.
No signal. That's
Okay.
a lie. Here we go. 1920 by 1080 at 60 hertz.
Okay.
So,
Perhaps
Try one that you didn't actually open.
no, we haven't actually done that
this
yet.
is just plugging it directly into the iPad.
I see. Okay.
There we go.
Great idea.
The iPad didn't know it was plugged in. There we go.
There we go.
Okay.
The principles.
So we can unplug from there, and then if we replug in, it comes back. Great. So let's now plug into there, and plug in there.
Oh, hey.
Okay.
So TMDS clock is a exercise left for the reader. If anyone wants to post in chat what that was supposedly for.
Nobody likes that pin anyway. That's a loser pin.
Yep, that seemed to be okay. All right. Well, nice. Nice. We can keep on rolling.
Wait, did it say TMDS or TDMS?
TMDS.
Oh, okay.
We're going to just gradually find out that none of the pins are doing anything. And it's actually just wireless.
Yeah.
No.
The data speed signal.
If that ends up working, I would be. Oof.
R. Lopez 10 says TMDS is short for TTSF manages to decode something. And I'm just like, I think you almost meant to say destroy something, but that's fine.
If
Transition minimized differential signaling.
That sounds really important.
The clock may be pretty important. Yeah, it seems like it would be important.
except,
But it did work,
yeah.
which is odd. I have very little idea about how, like, you know, everything up to HDMI, you know, when you're doing like composite component, and all that kind of stuff. Like, I get it. You know, you have the different signals. But like HDMI doesn't have, it's not like some of the pins are red, blue, and green. It's not. It's all digital, right?
Yeah.
And so
One would think.
So there's clock plus and clock minus, and so maybe the clock can only go up or only down now.
I guess one of the either the monitor isn't receiving the clock signal or it's not coming back to the computer.
Fault detection and correction system for long cable run. That would make
Okay.
sense.
Yeah, that sounds.
Yeah, it's probably one of those things where it's like, yeah, that there's the fault detection stuff to make it work okay anyway.
So because we're working with very, very thin wires, I'm going to change for the first time my head on this soldering iron.
Ooh.
From this ugly, ugly one that we've been using for pretty much everything. Whoa, that's a nice color. To this guy.
Neat.
Yeah.
So teeny tiny.
No hot knife adapter for this one, though. Whew, that is ugly.
It's in clock plus and clock minus on separate lines so that the average is right. Okay, so what this means is that, yeah, that maybe if we attached this to like a long run, it would not be happy. But theoretically, in its purpose, like, it's not going to be the thing on the long run. It's just going to be
it's just
sitting
gonna be
there,
right there.
and it's going to be connected to a real HDMI cable that hasn't been messed up.
So it'll just seem like it's not being sent. Maybe.
Well, we'll see.
Like Ethernet, twisted pair, the two pins average out.
Neat.
Right. Well, we're going to get that 350 or 360. Wait, no, 375. That's where we want that to be. The melting-ish point of our solder.
So, and you were able to find the resistor we need?
This is the resistor we need.
So, from what I understand, the idea is that you need, basically, it detects that a monitor is plugged in by there being power on that line.
Yes.
And so, but connecting the 5 volts directly to that line, that's way too much power because it's only supposed to be just like a little
Right.
thing. So what is the resistance of this resistor?
10,000 ohms.
Okay.
So
Is that seems like a lot of ohms.
it does seem like a lot of ohms. If I remember which I don't remember my Ohm's law, right? But
There is only one law. Ohm's law.
now, am I correct in? No, you don't. These are not direct. Resistors are non-directional. That's the important question.
Yeah, it's diodes, right? Those are directional.
Yes. So I'm wondering, do we want to try connecting these directly to the pins or to the
Pads.
to the pads, or do we want to try using the wires? I'm inclined to go directly to the pads personally.
Yeah, I think it's that you which you think is more effective.
Okay. Well,
Yeah. Although I will say, here's the I bought 3 elbows from Monoprice.
Mhm.
Sadly, they are not easy to take apart as they are glued on the seam.
yes, they are.
Had to tap a razor into each side and carefully pry the case apart.
Oh,
I ruined one because I tried to solder directly to the connector, but the pads were so close to each other and it ended up with a short. On the second try, I melted a small section of insulation off the middle of the wire going to pin 18 and desoldered the wire from 19. I attached the resistor in that way, put some heat shrink tube on, and shoved it all back in the case. Oh, I used a 1/4 watt resistors. Anything bigger would not have fit. So, this person appears to have undergone a very similar experience.
to
They didn't
us.
say anything about one random wire being broken.
No. Thankfully, I've noticed here, and I'm not sure if you're able to see at all. No, this is not going to work. Well, maybe if your eyes are good and if you're receiving us in 4K. If you are receiving us in 4K, let us know how.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see just right here on the corner. Oh, good. I'm going to stand that up and then not move it.
With my focus.
There we go. Yes.
Okay.
As soon as the earthquake
I'm
stops.
trying.
Good. So, right there, yes, you can see the 0, 2, because this is pin 2.
I think we can actually use this as a magnifying glass.
Which would mean that the top side, on the other side, on the same, so if 2 is here, on the back on the same side is going to be pin 1, which means, if I'm correct, pin 18 is on this side, which is one of the ones we need to bridge with pin 19.
So 18 is the power, 19 is the hot plug.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure that I can do this without shorting it.
Maybe the lurker was not able to do it, but that doesn't mean that you can't do it.
No, this is the Let's Try program, right?
Exactly.
Let's try then.
Video quality. I can't read the tube, but so yeah, this is an interesting, like, I'm a fairly techie guy, but my sort of barrier for thing pretty much goes into plugging things into other things. Once it gets, it's sort of like chemistry. You go or you get down to like the atom, and then you have to go inside the once you get into the subatomic level, which in the world of electronics, the subatomic level is the opening the box and going inside the black boxes.
Ooh.
That's where my knowledge totally falls
That's where it
apart.
stops.
Yeah. And so I find all the actual, like, I'm always fascinated by actually, the aspect of actually sort of soldering things
Getting
stuff
into
together
the hardware hacking.
yeah, that aspect. of it. You know, I like plugging stuff together and then like doing some software stuff. I like the all of the getting the soldering and everything is tricky.
Drasvin, yes, you could do this with a cable instead. There's no reason you couldn't. It's just that in fact, when we were looking up ways to do this particular hack, I remember bringing up a product from Monoprice that's literally just an HDMI plug on one side, and then a bunch of screw-down terminals on the other for just sticking wires into.
Really?
And that would have been much easier to do this
That would
with.
have been much easier. That was from
Monoprice.
From Monoprice,
Yeah.
or I thought that was from
maybe-
like Banggood or
Oh,
something.
you're right. That might have been from SparkFun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Monoprice doesn't have so much of the sort of DIY electronic stuff. Yeah.
But the problem with that is that then you just have a bunch of wires, and you still need another one on the other end to make it into a
Right.
cable.
Right. Yeah. So theoretically, obviously, if you were doing this with a cable, you would want to have it to be an HDMI extension cable.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're stuck with just using that one cable.
Yeah, the idea with doing it this way is so that it could be used in any situation,
Right.
preferably even like right into the computer itself. All right, so pin 19. I'm going to tape this down actually, so that I can get. Or is this something that the third hand might be better at? This actually I think is a good job for the third hand.
Is that the improv thing where I get behind you? And
Yeah. The helping hands of.
I didn't realize that's how you do soldering. Okay.
No, I generally don't like using these guys just because I find the clips to be way too strong and will oftentimes just like, slice right through the cable that I'm trying to solder,
Oh.
which is bad. But when you're dealing with this sort of a piece, like an end like that isn't going to cause you a problem.
And it's got the little magnifying glass and everything.
Which is going to be handy. I'm going to see if I can get that in a place where everyone can see it too. And because I'm soldering that side, I'm going to make it easier to get to.
Yeah, you make it the easiest so that you can actually accomplish it. I'll make sure the cameras are in the right spot.
All right. So my plan here is going to be just to get the one side of the wire soldered on, and then try and bend it around and get the other side soldered on, and then we'll see if we can get some heat or get some heat shrink on there before we solder the other side,
Okay.
and then suck it down.
Should you cut the wires shorter before you do that? I guess you need the space to bend it around.
And I think I'm going to leave one end full length,
Okay.
and then we can trim the other side as need be.
And I mean, you know, if it's not the end of the world if it doesn't fit back into the.
Yeah. As long as we don't break any more wires. But, okay. So let's get that third one in place.
Looks very like now we will make you talk, HDMI adapter. Prepare the machine.
So let's use the third hand functionality of it.
It's really the third through fifth hand.
Sometimes I think these are actually just more trouble than they're worth. Okay, I think I can do that with just one.
I saw a really cool one the other day that was just a magnetic mat. Like
Yeah.
This, and it has four, like, you know, the Gorilla Pods have the ball legs. So it had four of those that came out that each one of them had alligator clips from the four corners.
Oh.
So you could negotiate them wherever you wanted to put them so they can grab stuff and hold them in position. And it's just all around a magnetic mat.
That's a good idea.
It's really cool.
Do you think that was basically what like Doc Ock was working on?
Yeah.
He was just like frustrated with soldering the third hand things for soldering. It's just like, you know what? I'm just gonna make tentacles.
Yeah, I'm just going to make extra hands for myself. And you know what? Tentacles are the way to go.
Tentacles that have a mind of their own.
Yeah.
And are evil for some reason.
Oh, it's
But
all
I have a
AI.
little control ship. It's fine.
All right, are we hot enough? We are hot enough.
Muy caliente.
You know what? I'm not going to use that magnifier. So I've got it right on top of the pad here.
And there's sort of hot gluey stuff on the other pads, right?
Yeah, so there's a circuit board that's going from the from where the wires are connected to the actual pins themselves. And I'm going to attempt to solder directly onto the pin of the connector.
I'm afraid that my hands aren't steady enough and to do the real fine work now.
I'm almost wondering about my own, to be honest, these days. Problem too is that I didn't bring my continuity tester. Oh, come on. This is just so very fiddly.
So at some point we may have a situation where, you know, the father of the HDMI cable that we previously said was dead shows up again or something like that. It's okay, we'll just retcon it.
Yep. All right, I don't think I've got my angles right here. 'Cause it's not connecting. So I'm gonna have to bend the end of this in such a way that I know it will make a connection. And then kind of push it up against the pin. And hope to God I can do this right. Let go. Come on. Get in there. You don't have to be pretty, you just have to be there.
Words to live by.
Hold on. We're supposed to be doing pin 19, right?
We are connecting pin pin 19 is the hot plug.
Mm-hmm.
Pin 18 is the
Good. Okay, good.
so it's the two
farmost.
leftmost pins.
Not to be, I don't know, not to be maybe. How does the leg need to be that long in the resistor?
Not right now,
Okay.
but it can be trimmed down. Yeah, let's trim this by half. Why not? I'm sorry, Paul. You were correct to begin with. Whew.
Is it going to be worth just breadboarding this thing?
I mean, part of, like, otherwise, then, I mean, if we did that, then you have this big, bulky whatever to deal with. And the idea is to build all this stuff into a small adapter so we don't have to, have a big box of wires and
Right.
whatnot.
The breadboard would be a good idea for testing it, but we're convinced this works, right?
And why not do it this way? It's 3 hours of good content.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you can just buy these things. There's a company that makes them. I have no reason to believe that they wouldn't work great.
That's not the...
But, and I think it's like 15, they're like, $20 plus shipping or whatever.
There's certain things that I'm willing to buy, and there's certain things that I'm willing to try. And this is definitely a tryable one.
This is definitely a tryable one.
Much like the Dreamcast was definitely a try.
Yeah.
And we're steps are in place to actually complete that project, by the way.
Hooray!
Steps.
Okay, I'm just putting a little bend in the end here to make it easier to line up.
I guess the gauge of wire connected to the resistor is larger than the rest of the wires.
It most definitely is, which is why I'm glad that we're doing this to outside pins. All right, there we go. That looks like it's nice and tight in there now. Just about. Just want to twist that a bit. Okay, so they're in place. Now this should make it easier to solder them together. Okay, that's not a great join, but it's a join, and it looks solid. And it is solid. Great. That's all it needs to be. Right, so next step is I'm going to find my heat shrink tubing.
And with the third arm thing, I just recently, like a couple months ago, I saw an interview with great Steve Wozniak talking about making the first Apple, because he basically like built that, like the original like Apple II or Apple I or whatever. He built it like from scratch and using, like, people didn't even know like what the hell he was doing, because they were like they were able to build it with like way less components than it should have needed because of his amazing design.
Crazy over engineering.
But there's this great thing to like they're sort of during the, or like as part of the interview, he's just working on a thing. And he's doing the thing, he's holding the solder in his mouth. And
He's doing the same thing
I
as
was
that.
like, hey, if Steve Wozniak does it, then that's got to be the way to do it.
That must be okay. I think I'm actually just going to go ahead and not cover that for a couple of reasons. One, I think I forgot my heat shrinking at home.
That's a solid reason.
And two, I don't think we need it just yet, because it's if we do, I'm going to just use some gaff tape to cover the leads.
Sure, yeah.
And that should be enough to keep it. But for the testing process, we don't need it there. So I'm just going to bend that there into the angle I want. Bring it up.
I believe the kegerator was the first TTSF.
Yes, that was definitely what I wanted to be the first one we put together.
Certainly, and so I talked about like the, using TTSF to make things that we want actually around the moon base anyway. And man, the kegerator is great.
I'm glad, because I just realized I need to refill us on the carbonated water.
Yeah. I don't know, there's something. I didn't used to drink carbonated water, like, I drank pop and stuff, but I didn't really get the point of carbonated water. But with the people out there who have got like a Soda Stream or something, there's just something nice about it. It's got a lot of the same kind of appeal of like a soft drink.
Yeah, but
it's just water.
Yeah. One of the things I don't know if it would make a good episode of the show, because it would all be about taste, but there's a guy on the internet who put together a mineral breakdown of the top mineral waters out there, the fancy ones, your San Pellegrinos, your Perriers, the other one that comes in the white and red bottle with the star on it, which name I can't remember. Point is, they've got the full breakdown of the mineral content, and he's created a spreadsheet where you can contact your local water supply, your water purification department, and find out what your mineral content of your local water is, to find out what minerals you need to add to get the same taste.
I believe that the red star you're thinking of is Heineken.
Ah, yes, Heineken water. So I've contacted the Capital Regional District's water treatment officer.
I've always been very appreciative of the water quality in Victoria, in the sense that I'm not only very comfortable, but totally happy to drink it straight out of the tap in terms of the flavor and the.
We've got great water here. I think that might be very anticlimactic, but.
And really, really, really old pipes.
Yes.
I love reading about the there was a I don't want to say it's a pipeline because it's not a pipeline, but it was like an aqueduct type thing that they had built out towards Esquimalt to the inner the bit of water that separates Esquimalt from the rest of the island, and all of that was made out of wood.
Oh,
The pipes were made out of wood?
Yeah, essentially the pipe system was all made out of wood apparently, and I was like,
Wood is not waterproof.
no, that's the thing, right? I mean, like it swells up and it'll be like eventually gets so water, like it absorbs so much water that all the extra water will just kind of keep flowing across
I'm
it.
sure that they were coated both on the outside and inside with pitch.
Yeah, well, yeah, and so that's the thing is it's like that was how water delivery was being done and how like water effluence was being sent out to the sea and everything, and I'm like, wow, that's, I guess you use what you use, right? You hollow out giant logs and you use that to send water.
I remember when my grandparents moved, they lived up in Parksville, and they'd lived in the same house for a really long time. And as part of when they were moving,
Your beard is scratching again, Ian.
Oh, my beard is scratching on the
I
microphone?
keep hearing rustling.
Oh, that's the, yeah, that's on the,
But you keep blowing your head, and I keep thinking that the beard is scratching your mic as well.
how did I do that?
Okay.
but they lived there for a really long time, and when they were sort of doing the inspection for the new homeowners, they found that their sewage piping was not working very well, and it was a big problem. Obviously, they live on it was more like a septic field. This is up in Parksville, so it was sort of like a septic field, and so they had to dig up the backyard, and they had this old place. They had the clay pipes, and there was a really big tree, and it had basically infiltrated this pipe so much, like it was just a strainer,
Just
like,
full of roots.
yeah, just full of these little hairy roots, right? And it was just like the entire over probably like 10 or 15 feet, so the water was just
Wow.
trickling through.
But for a tree, that's like hitting the water. It's like,
Yeah.
I need
The tree is like,
I need
oh,
water,
what
I need
the-
water. What?
There's just a stream here.
I'm just going to be inside here now for the next 20 to 40 years. Arclight, that's a nice photo of a wooden pipe.
In
Yeah,
Seattle.
but I guess we could move the monitor just slightly back. Just, chat thought it looked precarious. Okay, so
All right, give it a plug.
so first thing, whether this still works.
Yep.
Holy
Okay,
crap! Holy
so that
crap.
works.
Okay, it still works.
Okay,
Don't be so surprised.
Oh, well, all
So
the little
now-
pads.
Theoretically,
If we remove this cable,
we can unplug this cable.
and the iPad should still. I mean, the iPad already thinks it's disconnected, I think.
Okay, that was. I think there's maybe a loose thing there because when I was just in the process. I'm trying to pull this out while not.
Putting too much tension on it.
Yeah. What's happening here?
I think you've actually fully disconnected it. No, okay. Let's try
Okay,
again.
so the. It's not all the way in.
Okay, so we're back in.
Okay.
So let's.
Should we just have the blue line?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Let's unplug that. Plug this back in. Blue line's there. Great. Now, if I disconnect this, the blue should remain on the iPad.
Does not.
Okay, I guess it just disappears now.
All the time?
Yeah.
Perhaps an iPad is not the best thing to test this with. It's a little hard to tell whether it actually thinks it's still connected.
I mean, that still works fine there.
Interesting. Okay, maybe,
Actually, you know what? Now is a good time for us to take a short break.
yeah.
We're going to do so, as I've just mentioned. We'll be back with a bit more testing and more Tinker Tailor Solder Fry after the break. Don't go away. Welcome back to Tinker Tailor Solder Fry, where we are currently trying to keep HDMI from doing its thing.
Yeah.
Specifically by thing, I mean auto detection. And I think
HDMI has all sorts of great features that we are attempting to bypass.
next up, I'm going to actually try to solder an Ethernet cable directly to the HDMI.
Because the Ethernet aspect of HDMI is the thing that everyone really wants about
yeah,
HDMI.
exactly. But no one's actually got pass-through port.
So we've got a laptop here now. We thought we'd be in trouble because Windows wanted to install updates, but luckily they weren't a big
They were small updates.
They're small updates.
Good.
So
That's
the
something.
constant bane of our existence. Yeah, so let's check this out. So this is just plugged in directly now,
As you can see, everything's fine.
and you can see.
Oh, maybe we should spin the monitor around so that people can see the freak out that happens when you
Sure.
disconnect. Let me clear some space here for you.
I could also put it on an alternate camera, but if
Wait, can you see it on?
I can see it on the other camera. I just have to back that one off. So give me a second.
Okay.
All right. The nice thing about this too is it makes a noise when,
Like that.
like when there's a Java update. Oh, Java.
Do you want to update Java? No. No one wants to update Java.
No, no one ever wants to update Java. I'm assuming new
right.
versions of Java have new features, but
The feature I'd like most is not hacked, please.
yeah.
Okay, so regular
Okay,
monitor.
so we got here. So this is normal plugged in. We unplug. And, oh, I thought it would make a little beepy. When I plug in. Does it make a beep?
Nope.
It made a beep before. Well, crap. Okay.
Oh, actually, if you kept the display screen open.
Yeah, that'll show us how many monitors it thinks it has. We're going to be hoisted by system working too well now, probably. How about we
Yeah.
not?
Span them rather than mirror.
Yeah. How? Wait, scroll down. Duplicate. We don't want to do that. We want to extend. Yeah.
Perfect.
And we want that one to be 1, 2. Okay.
Hey,
So now
if you unplug,
unplug.
Windows says, what?
Boop.
Second display? Not in your life.
I don't have a second display. That's crazy. Okay. And then we plug it back in, and then it goes. Oh look, I have
Second
another
display
display.
exists.
Okay. Doing good.
So far, so good.
Now. Other way around.
Okay.
Oh, okay. No, this is it.
Plug it in. And Windows says second display.
The way
Second
it showed.
display shows up on here.
Now, if we unplug this.
Oh.
For a sec there, it was working. What the hell?
It felt like it was working there.
It outsmarted you somehow.
So, it's not doing
What we think it's doing.
what we think it should be doing.
Oh, actually, I think we might have it backward. No, because that should still bridge the connection, right?
Should we try
Going from wire to wire, you think?
going through the wires? In the sense that it's might be easier to tell that it actually has indeed hit the right thing.
Yeah, I'm willing to give that a try.
Windows squints. I see what you're up to.
All right. So that's going to be...
Yeah, that's actually a good test. Yeah.
Oh, I think I know what the problem is here.
Oh, it has come disconnected.
Yes, that was a cold join, and it was a bad join.
Ah, okay.
So I'm going to
The
try...
principle may still be sound. All right. So, yeah.
It was just a really janky solder.
I wish there was a way to do this that... I guess we could, like, plug another... That's probably a bad idea. I guess the unplugging and plugging back in seems dangerous, but anyway.
It's got to be enough to just
fine.
do it a few times, right? Like once we have it plugged in, we're not going to keep plugging in and plugging it all the time.
Well, theoretically, once it's like back in the case and stuff, it'll be a little more secure.
That's fair. Yeah.
That's the idea. Yeah, that was just a not solid join as I thought it was.
Okay.
So we'll try it again.
Third hand again.
No, this time I'm just going to use the tweezers.
Okay. So are you going to do it from the location that's currently sitting on the table?
Actually, I might want a third hand, this to be honest. Just thinking about how many hands I need to do what I need to do.
Because it's going to be, I have to set up the camera quite particularly, obviously. Third hand gives me something to aim at, but I don't want you to use it if you don't like using it.
Yes, sir. Well, this will be, yeah, go ahead and aim away. Or aim high if you are indeed a Air Force cadet.
Shorting something to nothing does not give the desired result. I believe that's not shorting it at that point.
Yeah, yes, that's a failed short at that point. Normally, yeah, normally you want to avoid shorts.
I remember when I did a course in college. I did a computer hardware course, where we were, putting together components of the computer and sort of looking at things that might go wrong that are actually like fixable.
Right.
That are fixable in a way that it isn't easier just to get a new part. And one of the things about that they always said was that the power supply, that everything on the computer side of a power supply is low voltage, 5 volts, and you're fine. Nothing is. You can break the computer, but you won't hurt yourself.
Everything on the
And
monitor side?
but everything on the they're saying like the power supply is not worth fixing.
Don't go inside.
In this course. By the end of this course, you will not be qualified to open the power supply and go inside it. Do not do that. They're that expensive. Get a new one.
Please do not. What do they call it? Closed course. Professional driver. Do not attempt. All right. Let's try bending some stuff around here. Burp. I've now trimmed down the resistor in an effort to get it to fit inside the connector first time, every time.
That's good hand.
All right, so we've got it up against the pin. So now we just need to apply some gentle pressure with the soldering iron to heat up both the pin and pad. Apply the tiniest amount of solder to it. Then we should be good.
Gentle viewer, use your imagination. You'll see some smoke. That's how you know it worked.
Oh, we can actually.
It's fine. Don't.
I mean, what's great is that you'll see smoke regardless of whether it worked or not.
I'll move the camera. Don't worry.
Um,
I'll move the camera. It's okay.
Let me get that there, like that.
yeah, I mean I believe when Ben was here, when you were working on the first stage of the Naomi stuff, we had various discussions about how terrible it is to open old CRTs.
Oh yeah. Ben definitely had some experience with that, being an arcade owner.
Okay. Good luck, Ian.
Thank you. You're all counting on me?
Mm-hmm. Did everyone see the smoke?
I think I managed to avoid a short there. I'm going to see if I can check using the magnifier. That looks clean. That's the nice thing about electronics is that, if it's not a case of close enough, electrons can't just jump between two spaces.
Well, at least it's visible. Like, if you can see it, that's true.
Yeah, the voltages we're dealing with, you can't just arc across.
Yeah, exactly.
If
All right.
that, assuming this works, that's very nice and compact.
Yeah, that was the hope.
It's all low voltage.
All right, let's give this another try again.
Right. Randy VCR repair. Right. I remember Ben.
Oh,
we
yes!
that like extremely sketchy arcade repair system
Yes.
thing.
Thank you, Ben, for reminding us about that guy. All right. Well, we've still got the monitor out.
Okay, so we plug this back in.
Yep.
Let's see, so let's put
Yeah,
this
let's
in
do
first.
the whole meal deal. These stiff cords do not make for a nice.
Yeah, so we have other HDMI cables. But, yeah.
I'll just make sure it's got the appropriate twist on it. Okay, so
It goes boink.
and
It knows that it's connected.
boink.
And we see it on there.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go. Come on.
Hey.
So check this out. Now I can be like, hey, computer, I want you to. If I can operate this mouse. I want you to put this window half on the other screen.
Well, I mean, I can't see that. We
Is
should
it-
we should probably check to see if that's correct. Ball. I don't believe it's over there.
Mhm.
Boop.
Doot, 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 doot. Boop.
What a crazy goddamn magic trick.
Wow.
Wow.
So that's fun.
I feel so happy. It worked.
That's kind of amazing.
No. I'm so worried about pulling this too hard.
So what happens here then is that when you plug in the HDMI cable, the PC or whatever the sending thing, right? It's like, I can detect this. I see that you have plugged in this cable, so I will start outputting over that cable. And then what's going on here is then when it's unplugged, the thing that it was plugged into is like, I did not receive any sort of message saying that I should stop. Like,
Well, no,
Yeah.
the display doesn't get anything going to it anymore at all.
Right.
So it's just going to stop.
Right.
But the computer doesn't realize that the cable's been unplugged.
right, so you basically, okay, neat, all right.
And so now, so the weird thing is what happens now. So if we for instance plugged in a different monitor, the computer would not know the monitor had changed,
Yes.
and so it would attempt to run that monitor at whatever resolution it was running this at.
Fascinating.
So you would, in order to reset this,
Yeah.
what you need to do is unplug this completely. Then the computer's like, okay, now I've got nothing plugged in, and then the next time anything is plugged in, it will
So
it will re-handshake and figure out.
because from the angle we're shooting at, what I could not see is that you guys were unplugging the cable from the adapter that has the mod, as opposed to you unplugged the whole damn thing.
Yeah, so you can see the
Roaming camera here, yeah.
wait.
That's not all going to fit, is it? Let's try just like that.
Hopefully you can see the little adapter is still plugged into the side of the computer.
Yep. It's
So
still
right now the adapter is almost acting like an old school like Terminator.
And actually, I think if you were to unplug the adapter, it would pull that display back to the main screen.
It would pull this back. Yeah, it
Well,
should.
let's do that on camera, actually.
Okay. Yeah, of course. So if we go like this, then it will go, oh hey, that monitor is now unplugged. Boop.
There we go.
Nice.
Wow.
That worked exactly how I was hoping it would.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing to have.
So the reason why, this is one of those things where like it doesn't seem like that big a deal. But if you're somebody who's worked with computers a lot, especially in a multi-monitor setup, for instance, the computer that's streaming this right now has 4 monitors plugged into it, one of which of those connections is split. So it technically has 5 monitors plugged into it. And like I said, Windows 10 is a lot better at this than Windows 7. Windows 7 would just freak out, but Windows 10 is mostly okay. But there's still the thing where I'll be like working, and then somebody will turn on the monitor and everything will go black.
Currently up to date Windows 10 especially.
That's true.
Yeah. And a lot of people still use Windows 7 now because people have
Inertia.
prejudice.
It's inertia.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be.
It didn't seem that easy to me, but I'm glad.
It's
There
not
is
even
still that
730.
slight concern about that cable.
That one cable.
That wire.
So
Yeah.
I was going to mention to the chat that if you are going to try this, please be aware that you are getting very close to voiding warranties on any devices you may plug in or plug into this adapter, because this is no longer a approved HDMI.
I mean, you've certainly voided the warranty on this.
Yeah.
But that is like $1, so it's okay.
But this is no longer a 2-spec HDMI cable. So if you're going to do this, be careful what you're plugging in. Try not to mix monitors between different sources,
Yeah.
because you may end up sending a signal that might be. I don't think it would be damaging because it's all analog these days.
It's got to be. It would have to be really outside the spec of the monitor for it to cause any actual damage. It might just not show up.
Yeah, this is more for this is the kind of thing that's more for the kind of purpose we're going to use it for, which is we're going to have it live between something monitors that are constantly cycled on and off.
Yeah, and as someone I saw someone mentioning on the chat the idea of that like if all your icons are on your secondary monitor, when you unplug it, they'll all get moved over to your other monitor, which is a pain in the butt.
So we've got one more thing I'd like to try. I think we can try with this before we button this up. Now, can you check on the forum, because I need to know. We wanted to install a switch to this, correct?
Speaking of buttoning it up.
Yeah, so I think it's just slightly lower down. I need to know which pins it is that we want to bridge. And I think it was 17 and 19.
So 17 is ground. Let's see.
Arclight and couldn't pick a username. No, I'm not doing HDMI over Ethernet stuff tonight on this. That was just a reference to the fact that the HDMI 2.0 spec, I believe it's 2.0, can carry Ethernet in addition to everything else that HDMI can carry.
And there's a lot of HDMI cables and HDMI devices that advertise in large letters that they are like HDMI plus Ethernet.
Yep.
And I have literally never seen a device that actually gets network access over HDMI.
Which is kind of odd, because I would actually love to, for my home theater, just to have one cable go from my TV to like the PlayStation and be able to get that wired network access.
It's not a terrible idea.
But Ethernet
as part of the spec.
Ethernet, like, because it's funny, because I'm like, so what would you use for that? And I'm like, large format displays in airports or other places like that. It's like, oh, it seems like not a bad idea, except that, like, if you're sending stuff over long runs of HDMI.
You don't want to send an HDMI cable that far.
No, you wouldn't. You'd want to send
because Ethernet is better for long runs anyway.
Exactly. So it's like, so you wouldn't want to send that over HDMI cables. You'd be sending Ethernet anyway. You'd be running RJ. You'd be running Cat 6.
Yeah, you'd just be running the Cat 6 to the TV to display things from a central thing.
Yeah.
It's more of I think just a let's reduce the amount of cables in your home theater setup that you need.
Yeah, we're talking. Yes, HDMI over Ethernet is a whole other thing.
Yes.
Which is
different than HDMI plus Ethernet, which is what all these cables get advertised as these days.
I hope we didn't make a directional box. I hate directional HDMI cables.
So this says, so solder a 10,000 ohm resistor between 18 and 19. If you want a fancy button to reset the detection, add a button with wires to pin 19 and 17 to pull the signal low.
19 and 17. Okay.
So, because basically what we wanted to do is stop bridging it.
Yep.
So by going from 19 to ground, that means that there's no actual signal will be going through 19 anymore to the plug. Is that how that works?
I think that's correct. Yeah, that you would just shunt everything to ground at that point.
Right.
And that would be like disconnecting the...
Like disconnecting it. So the idea here is with a button, that means so if you plug in a different monitor and want to get the computer to redetect that it's got a new monitor in it, rather than having to unplug the whole device and plug it back in, you can just push a button on it.
Yep. Which is, yeah, slightly easier.
Slightly easier and fancy.
So when I was talking earlier about dumpster diving, this isn't really a dumpster dive, but it was just a... I like to disassemble stuff that is broken or stuff that I no longer need and can't really sell. This is actually how I got comfortable with soldering and with tinkering with things. Is that like, it's broken, I can't break it any worse than it already is, and maybe I can fix it.
And if I can't, that could go in the Tinker Tailor, that it can't break more once it's already broken.
Yes, exactly. Can't break it any more than I've already done. So I recently, a couple of years back, for my NAS at home, I was buying 4 gigabyte or 4 terabyte hard drives because, you want as much space as you can get, right? And turns out that the cheapest 4 terabyte hard drives I could find were inside of USB cases. There were the Western Digital drives in the cases at Costco.
The vagaries of hard drive pricing confuse me.
So beyond
the fact
me.
that external drives are often cheaper than internal drives makes no sense.
So the problem is I ended up with a lot of these plastic cases and these USB to SATA adapters. And this one just happens to have a nice little momentary button switch on it, which is tiny and red and about the right size for what we want to do with it.
What was that? That wouldn't have actually been accessible.
Now, that would have been the back plane there.
That would have been the back plane.
I'm going to get a close shot of that.
Sure.
So what was that originally? Was that like the on switch on the?
I think this was a reset switch because it would just be powered on completely. This one, I think, also had an e-ink display on the front, so you could update it with the name of your drive. It was the MyBook line.
An e-ink display?
Yes.
Wow.
So that when it was powered down, you could just put
yeah.
it on the door and, oh, that's my backup drive. Better take it off the shelf and plug it in because of things.
That's so weirdly overbuilt. That's the kind of thing that I would think up to. It's like, we could put an e-ink display on it, or just a label maker.
Yeah. Swap it out. So I've still got the e-ink display. I need to look up the specs on that and see if there's some way I can combine it with like a little Arduino or something to just output weather information.
External drives tend to be slower than internal, less reliable. I mean, but in a lot of cases, though, the drive inside an external enclosure is literally the same.
Yeah,
like it'll be like a WD blue or whatever.
Exactly. They were generally they were greens.
WD greens, yeah.
When I found them. And for what I'm using them for, it's a double redundant disk array on FreeNAS, ZFS.
Right.
So it's like, if one of the drives dies, I'm happy with that.
It's kind of like, it's not surprising.
Yeah, the drives are disposable. They have a certain lifetime.
Redundant array of inexpensive disks.
MBTF they call it, meantime, or MTBF, meantime before failure.
Yeah, which thankfully Backblaze does a very good yearly survey of.
If you're interested in hard drives, Backblaze's surveys are great.
Who makes the least terrible drives? So we're just going to solder the back off of this here. You can find a lot of good parts to your for your projects in electronics that you may be throwing out.
So now this is the opposite. So what are you doing with this?
The idea here is I'm desoldering it from the board.
Right.
And I think I'm using actually the wrong solder tip for this, to be honest, because this is way too thin for what I want. Oof. But
You
it's
don't want to change it while it's hot, though.
No, I don't. No, you most certainly do not. Maybe if we just get it in there. And then there we go. Double up on the pins. Get them nice and hot until they start to melt. And then suck. Hopefully. Man, these are just really on there. Yeah, I'm going to need a larger tip on that, I think. Which
All right.
means swapping it out.
Let that cool down a little bit.
Yeah. So here's the question. Do we want any more of these? Or is the one sufficient?
I mean, I feel like more than one could be useful.
Okay.
I mean, it might not be the worst idea to try to get one without the broken cable. If such a thing is possible.
It should be, hopefully.
Assuming they aren't just like that from the factory. In which case, we're going to blow this thing wide open.
Ah! Yeah, I can tell you exactly what that switch is for because it's labeled on the board itself. Soft power.
Oh.
Soft power is a growing thing to be concerned about in this day and age.
I'm not sure I get the joke.
It's a political term as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, rest
It's
in
like-
soft power
it's like-
then.
Diplomacy. And
Yeah.
That or it's a weird mashup of Dune and Soft Boys.
Yeah.
See, on Caladan we ruled with sea power. On Arrakis, land of the Soft Boys, we need soft power.
it's like the opposite of the people of Arrakis.
Yes.
They are the hardest people.
Oh, Fremen hard boys. All right. Ooh, actually, I think I know a way to speed this up. Yes, I do. Haha. Don't
Ah.
touch it with your. Let's play the game of hot potato.
Don't you touch it with your hands.
Perfect.
Oh, this is not good. This could go very badly for me. Okay, we'll put on the old ugly boy. Right. This first. You can smell that wood getting just a little bit toasty.
When we took out this this piece of wood, Beej and I were looking at the what happened over here.
I don't know. I don't think that was my doing.
Well, let's give everyone a show.
Yeah,
Hang on. We'll figure it out.
I thought this was a fairly nice piece of wood.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, well, it was certainly cheap.
I mean, it's not like plywood or anything. It's
No.
kind of nice.
It's a nice piece of pine.
Smells good. And yeah, I mean, if you wanted to get into pyrography, you could just use the self same soldering iron.
Yeah, so there's all these like gouges in it.
It's like
Which-
someone stabbed it with a knife.
Someone's trying to do like 5-finger fillet on it.
So the best I've been able to figure is that you put these gouges in there, Ian,
Oh,
when you were working on the box the other week, the power box. You're rewiring your extension cord, and you kept flopping the box all over because you're hooking up the new. You had the, God damn it! You had the outdoor safe
Yeah.
box, and you had the outlet that went inside of it, and you kept moving it around and bumping around and stuff. And I think that's where all the gouges in that came from.
two reasons why I can tell you that's not the case.
Oh, yeah?
Number one, I believe I noticed them on there that week and flipped the board over because I didn't want to show the ugly side.
All right, fair enough.
Second, the box is plastic.
So it would. I mean, even with some weight, though, it could put. That's pretty soft wood.
It is soft wood, but not in such a way also that you can get these thin type of gouges. Those are very much wow, I sound like a pretentious tracker. These are clearly the evidence of a bladed knife going in. You can tell because the upper edge is slightly wider than the bottom,
Let's.
indicating a sloped cutting blade.
Then it's something from probably months ago.
Yeah.
And we maybe did it on the program, or maybe when we cut it off of the plank that is in the other room. That's where it probably acquired a lot of that from the banging around and stuff.
I'm glad that whatever was done on it wasn't done on this table.
Yes. Please. Please, whoever did this, don't do this to our good table. All right, let's try this again.
Now with more power.
More hotness. I've also turned up the soldering iron a bit. They may be using a higher temperature solder on this as well because it's
This is an industrial thing.
it's probably not hand assembled. Oh no, that huh. Some of the trouble with getting rid of these things too is that they're just on so tight and there's such a little amount of solder that it's almost.
So the idea is that you melt it and then the pen this thing sucks it up.
Yeah, sucks the molten solder right out of the just out of the way. But I think there's just so little solder that it's not even worth trying to do that. So what I'm going to do instead is the other method of desoldering things, which is to just get a wedge under there.
Yeah, fun fact, the hardness or softness of a wood has actually no bearing on whether it is called a hardwood or a softwood. The term hardwood and softwood refer to something else.
Something completely different.
They don't refer to how hard the wood is. It's stupid. Certain types of trees are hardwoods and certain types are softwoods.
So now I'm just...
Yeah, balsa wood is hardwood.
That doesn't make any sense. Stop it. All right, this is just being a real unpleasant Nelly. But we're getting there.
Turns out it's just barbed spikes.
I mean, they're probably also kind of wedged out to keep it from popping out while soldering it in there. But
You have to push the button to.
I really shouldn't have to put this much force on a something generally. Oh, how odd.
Oh, it's got like little feet locking it in as well.
Yeah.
It's not just soldered to the board.
Whew, and those feet are, I might just trim those feet off actually.
So it was barbed spikes.
Yeah, essentially. Stay. Okay. So don't trim the actual contacts, just the gate bit.
Mass-made modern PCBs use a solder with a higher melting point, so most standard soldering irons don't get hot enough to melt it. I had to get a higher wattage soldering iron from the source when I wanted to strip components like this.
Whew. Now this one's going up to, this one is, the thermometer on it is rated up to, or labeled up to 450 degrees.
Could you write another label that says 600?
I think that might help. Yeah, this is definitely melting solder elsewhere on the board. Let's do another
It's
suck.
like we must protect this button. It is the most valuable component.
I mean, it is sucking some solder, but... This has just become the most difficult part of this episode, isn't it?
Oh, okay. So a fun technical thing that so I think we've talked about this in Studio B. We have the lights we have in Studio B we've got these LED lights that are sort of above the people doing the podcast, and then we have lights in front of them. And we specially got Bluetooth lights because they wanted them to be controllable. All the lights in here are DMX lights, and we control them on the computer. But for there, we didn't want to have like another whole DMX rig, so we just got Bluetooth lights, and we're like, this will be great. We can turn them on with the phone or whatever. Now, the problem we ran in, we found out almost immediately.
Ha!
Nice.
Got half of it.
The problem we found out almost immediately is that the lights, they're all from the same company. They're different models of lights, but they're all from the same company. And I think we probably showed you this at some point, but anyway, they don't, I guess they're all like on the same Bluetooth ID or frequency or something. To the extent that there's an app that you have for your phone. There's 2 different apps for the different lights. But when you boot up the app, it connects to one of the lights, either the lights at the front or one of the lights at the back. So there's basically 3 possible, either the lights at the front or the 2 lights in the back, which are independent.
Oh my gosh.
And when you boot up the app, it connects to one of those 3 things, and that's all that app then controls.
But not both.
And so you can control, so when you boot up the app, you randomly get control of either the front lights or one of the back lights. Which was obviously very frustrating because we were hoping that they would all work together because they're all from the same manufacturer.
You'd think, yeah.
And all the front lights do work together. Like all the lights that are on the people from the front do work together in a nice group, but they interfere with each other. So what I figured out, but it's this interesting. It's an interesting idea though because it was basically random which light, like whenever you booted up the app and pushed the thing,
random which
it was
one you got?
random which light to do it.
Wow.
So in programming especially, there's something called a race condition. And what a race condition is basically things happen on computers very, very, very fast. But there's often things that are going on simultaneously. There are things that to you sitting at the computer appear to be simultaneously happening. But a computer can never do things
right.
In most cases a computer can't do things simultaneously. So it's actually doing things one after another, which usually doesn't matter, but occasionally does. And so in programming, they're something you really want to avoid because the whole idea behind a race condition is that it's unpredictable which thing will happen first.
Ah.
So if you have, like, say, like in this instance, we had these various sets of lights were all listening for the Bluetooth signal and sort of claiming it, and pairing with the thing. And because of how Bluetooth works, only one device can be paired at once.
Right.
But which one got that pairing was dependent on basically the Bluetooth, like the vagaries of the Bluetooth signal.
Right.
Right.
It was just
when they happen to be polling for the signal, what the air conditions are like.
and it was just completely unpredictable.
And so the solution that I've worked out a little while ago was that this company that makes the lights makes a different app for each light.
Oh.
And what I figured out is that if I now have 3 apps on my phone. For one of them for the lights that we have, 2 of them for lights that we do not have. They're different models of lights.
All right.
but they all use the same protocol apparently to talk to each other.
Makes sense, sure.
And each app, so you open up, basically how the process to turn on the lights in Studio B now is you open one of the apps and push the on button, and one of the lights in the room will turn on.
Okay.
And then you open another app, push the on button, one of the two remaining lights in the room will turn on. And then you open the third app, and the remaining light will turn on. But which of the apps activates which light is unpredictable.
Completely
Still
random.
different every time.
Each time. That would be infuriating to me.
It is very silly, but it does allow us to turn on all the lights wirelessly,
Which is
nice.
Yes. Which was the idea in the first place.
But
Yeah.
if we
So the first
ever-
one claims the next one, and each one claims the thing. Clearly, it will be like I was saying. We have the set of lights that are on our faces are 3 lights, independent lights, but they are designed to work together. And you can set them each. You can give them an ID, and so it's like this is light 1, 2, and 3. But the other lights don't do that, and in fact, not only don't work with the other lights, but don't work with each other. They interfere with each other. Once one turns on, the other one can't.
So if we ever do, like we're going to keep those for a while, but we might, if we ever wanted to upgrade the lighting in Studio B, we might just get away from that and go to DMX in there as well, maybe.
Or just get lights that are
Meant to daisy
are meant to work together.
Yeah.
For like if we got all the same model of light, all the same model of light that are the ones that have the different channels,
Right.
then that would work probably.
That would work great.
Anyway,
Those are made by Yongkuo?
Yongnuo.
Yongnuo. Yeah.
Young
Some
Mo-
people were asking, like, well, where do I find these? It's like, they're made by Yongnuo.
Young Money, Young Nuo.
Yeah. YONGNUO. There's a
as you
lot
may
of-
have guessed, these weren't like the most high-end Bluetooth LED lights we could get.
But I'm actually quite happy with the Young Nuo line of products, to be honest.
You got a couple of those at home, right? Ian?
I bought a couple of the light panels, the 600 Airs.
Yeah.
This
For
is the same
homies?
ones that we have in the
In
Studio
Studio
A,
A, yeah. And
which
that-
are not Bluetooth. They're
No.
just nice lights.
But they are very good lights, and they were. The best part about them was eBay was having a 20% off everything sale.
Oh, that's a good sale.
I'm like, oh great.
The we did get one though where half of the lights refused to light up. Like I know we ended up with one panel in Studio A where it's like every other row of LEDs refused to turn on. And that I think is sitting aside somewhere as maybe a future Tinker Tailor project to see if there's just a failed join or something like that. Because I thought they were working before and they stopped, but James had said that apparently they never worked at all. I'm like, whatever.
So so we've got this button now,
Yeah, we got the button, and I'm just trying to figure out the best way of connecting it.
and theoretically we want to put, if not putting this case back on, we want to have some sort of protective thing around
Yeah,
this
exactly.
that the button will
So
have to stick out of.
I'm thinking that I can actually just solder it on, again, directly to the pins there, and then we can carve out bits of this
I guess we need like a Dremel or something.
piece. We can make do with the utility knives. Or drill or something, or we could even just use use the hot knife function of the soldering iron. Which reminds me, I need to put the tiny head back on. This is most definitely not an approved method of working with your soldering iron.
Ooh, actually, so the other fun thing, so again, this is, I believe we've shown this in Studio B. The other thing, which is not necessarily, it's not actually like a thing that, well, it's certainly not something we could have predicted. And it's not necessarily a failing of the lights themselves, it's just weird happenstance. We have these LED colored light strings.
Strips, yeah.
Rope lights.
Rope lights behind the TV and Studio B and behind here and over there and stuff. They just especially like behind the TVs and stuff. They just add a little bit of depth. It's kind of nice, and we can change the color to match the show and stuff. We found out that the television that we have in the Studio B, which is
Insignia.
Insignia, yeah. the power on signal from the infrared remote happens to be, because these lights are also controlled by infrared remote, the power on signal for an Insignia TV happens to be the signal that the lights expect when they go into demo mode.
Oh! Whoop, whoop!
So I don't know that much about how infrared signaling works, but I guess there's a limited number of signals that you can send. And you have that thing where there's like the learning stuff.
Do we have the close-up still, by the way?
I'm gonna have to re-aim that. So one
No,
second.
no. If it's
Yeah.
in this general area, I
All
can find focus myself.
You'll find it.
There we go. So I've added some gaff tape to work as an insulator to cover over the bare wires of the resistor so that the bare metal edges of the button don't interfere with it when we solder on. Because I don't have any electrical tape, and I've never had an electrical tape that actually stuck to something other than electrical tape. Okay, so 20. Wait a minute. Can I get that? Look at that pin diagram again. Just want to make sure that the ones that we're doing 19 and
19 to
17. Okay, so they're right next to each other on the same side.
Yes.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. So it's the one right. It's the one on top, right beside 19.
Yeah, so
Is the ground.
again, it's on the opposite side from 20.
How many wireless things do you guys have? We have a fair number.
Yeah, a lot of stuff controlled by remote.
It's really nice, and the things that we don't have controlled by remote, we have. We try to have like, we'll have like them wired to like a power switch, so that they'll turn on. Because having to like walk around the room and turn on all the lights individually is.
Yeah, when we were getting this
Annoying.
place, we were renovating this place. One of the things that we talked about was that it would be great to have outlets that are in the ceiling that are independently controlled for lights.
Mm-hmm.
Because in Moonbase Mark III, when I did that mod to the ceiling light for our, what was it, for the podcasting, the feed dump set, where I basically like put some outlets just in the ceiling lights. Like now we can have all of our lights hooked up to that, and we can just turn it on.
You don't
turn
have
it
to
off.
have weird power, strings up the.
Exactly.
wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like everything's just all there. And then we did more of that when we were in Moonbase Delta, and moving in here it was like a no-brainer. It's like wiring a whole bunch of stuff to a separate separate switches, and though not on, I don't know if it's all on a separate circuit than other things.
Probably not.
We never toned any of these out to find out what circuit they're on.
Nope.
No, we should do that.
I agree.
Yeah, it's good that we have a lot of LED stuff, so we're not over like so much amperage. But
This one's going to be harder to do, if at all possible, because they're right next to each other.
Oof.
And I don't like that.
But you don't really want to like add extra wire or anything. That's just gonna.
It won't fit. Will it? Probably not. Okay, that seems like that could work reasonably well. It's going to be ugly as sin, but it'll work. I just need to hold that down. Yep. This is definitely going to be a job for the third hand.
do you want a little bit of glue or something, kind of like just white glue to kind of be sticky and hold it in place?
No, that's all right. Though that's a trick that I learned just the other day, was using white glue, or not white glue, but super glue inside of a project to just hold pieces in place while you let epoxy sit.
That's a good idea.
Sorry, I thought I could get this in one. Tell you what, we're going to lock that down. I'm going to go back to the wide, and we're going to figure our life out. Sorry.
That's okay. Okay.
That was hubris on my part.
Look, there's going to be plenty of hubris here today. in about, like, I'm going to guess about 20 seconds. Or minutes. No, seconds.
Prepare for hubris.
God, I'm getting old. Okay. God willing, this is going to work.
Yeah, my apologies, viewers. I really thought I'd be like, I'll be very careful. No. I should have been on the wide.
It's a nice little button.
Yeah, it probably costs like 2 or 3 cents, to be honest. But
And so does the button then, does that reconnect? Like, does it just basically bypass the resistor at that point?
Yeah. Well, at that point, so it bypasses the bypass effectively.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, it doesn't. It means when the button is pressed down,
Right.
it will think the TV is disconnected, regardless of whether it's connected or not. Actually.
Ah. That's interesting then, because that means that if it is connected and you press that button, it thinks it's disconnected, just to basically be like, send your EDID again.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could use it for that. It's a hell of an idea.
this is very fiddly work. I want to see it from the side. I should invest in some flux. Let's be honest. The time is right. I thought I could, hero forward without flux forever. That may not be tenable.
It's time for flux.
Yep.
Describe what flux does.
As far as I understand, it just makes the solder flow easier.
Like it wants to draw the solder to it.
Yeah, across where it needs to go. Because I honestly have never worked with flux before.
I think I have a tin of it at home.
Ooh.
So I could just leave it here.
If you, yeah, like if you think this isn't gonna work, then that's fair too.
Well, I mean, it's easy to undo what I'm about to do. Maybe.
Once it's done, it cannot be undone.
Oh, it cleans the surfaces of any oxides
Ah.
and coats them so they don't reoxidize. So it doesn't actually draw solder towards it at all.
Well, I think that drawing solder towards it is just because it's a clean surface, and then the natural sort of liquid surface tension.
Oh, okay.
Sucks it
I can see
together.
that. Yeah.
Okay. This is just these might be the coldest joints in history, but
Oh, that's pretty cold.
okay, by coldest joints, I mean no joints whatsoever.
What is a cold joint? I mean, that means just not a bad joint.
Yeah,
or?
it just means that the solder is kind of just cooled touching the connection.
And so it didn't make a
So
connection.
rather than actually cooling and connecting the two parts together solidly, it's just kind of like a touched.
I see.
And yeah, it looks like neither of these actually got connected. And oh no, there's a lot more solder there than I wanted there to be. But is that I'm worried that I might have shorted a pin. But I think I didn't. I'm pretty sure I didn't. And there's one way to make sure that I didn't, and that's just to soften it and draw it away. Come on, gravity. Come with me. I know a way out of here. Okay, let's.
Should we test to see whether
Yes,
it's
let's
still
test
working?
to see if
Okay.
it's still working. Because yeah, now that I've done this once, it'll be a lot. It would be a lot easier to do it in the future with the correct parts and whatnot.
Is it?
Yeah, Arclight, I don't think it's I don't think heat is the issue right now with this soldering iron. I think it's just heat plus the tip. It's a very small tip. No clean flux, water-soluble flux that needs to be washed away after every use. Okay. Is the laptop just bent?
Is the table weird, not flat, or is the lap? I don't know.
Is he missing a foot?
I mean, it might.
Feet are there. Somehow this is Windows 10's fault.
Windows 10 bent the laptop. All right.
Okay.
Give it a plug.
Boop. All right.
Okay, so that part works good.
And then we go. Choop.
And it still works.
Yada!
Okay, so let's.
All right. Perhaps
Instead-
the button thing won't work for the moment.
Not for this one, but maybe for a future one where we plan to actually put one in.
But
can go with
I think
wires.
we can
Yeah, I'd like to
figure
see.
out some way to
I'd
seal
like to
this
see if
back
we can
up.
get that sealed up. And then we
Or
can
even just with like the tape around it, I feel much more.
a little bit better about it. But yeah, I'd like to see if I can get that case back on there in such a way that's nice. And hopefully without, crimping any extra wires. All right, so that end definitely goes on that side.
By the way, this is just a you can see what this is right here. This is just an HDMI. They're called strain relievers or swivel strain reliever port savers sometimes. The idea basically being that often, especially if you've got an HDMI cable like this one here that's quite stiff, coming at it can be coming out in the ports on TVs, or sometimes they'll be like sideways, so it looks really ugly because you have like your cable coming out
Sideways,
like 6 inches
in the wrong
sideways
direction.
off the side of your TV, so then you can go like this.
I have one of these, but in a non user directionable user
Non-swiveling.
chooser. Yeah, exactly. Non-swiveling. There we go.
Yeah, so do I. Actually, I have, because for that exact reason, my TV has HDMI ports all down the side. And so I just got like 4 90-degree swivels. You just got to make sure you get them the right way.
Okay, so that's where we're running into troubles here, is that the resistor is bumping up against some plastic inside here.
Against those these little things there, right?
Actually, I'm going to say this bit here, probably. Yep. So I'm going to see if I can get some of that out of there without too much. Breaking plastic is the easiest part of the job. Do, 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 do.
Yeah, we can either shave down the plastic of the connector or shave down the resistor.
I've never seen the inside of a resistor before. From the inside. Or the outside.
You have a soldering iron, just melt it down a little bit.
That's actually something I'm looking to do here in a second. Just wanted to see if I can get this with before having to break down the melty bits.
I was modding my GameCube once, and I was tempted to use a soldering iron to cut some plastic out, and then just ended up digging out my Dremel and doing it that way instead.
Like, it's not what I said earlier about hot knife is an actual thing. A
Yeah.
lot of soldering irons will have a screw along the side of the barrel, and that's for the attachment of an X-Acto knife.
Defrost says, "Don't solder plastic. It's awful for your lungs and usually makes a mess."
That's the other reason why I want to avoid doing that.
You're not probably planning on growing your beard back. It was so good. Well, I appreciate your appreciation
Ooh,
for the beard.
Close.
If Paul ever gets tired of shaving for 3 days, his beard will reappear.
Yeah, it's entirely possible that it will come back at some point in the near future, or in the far future.
One of the futures.
Yeah.
In fact, if you subscribe to the multiverse theory,
I already have a beard. Yeah. You know, I go where the beard wind takes me.
You know what? I think we actually might just have this good to go. Oops.
So just taking out those little stabilizer fins inside.
And so I think we could either gaff tape it over, or we could...
Oh, it still even rotates, eh?
Yep. Yeah, let's try a just nice little strip of gaff. Where did I put that roll? There it is. Looking at that width.
Better steal the beard back from James. Yeah, then both James and I will have. When we came back from Desert Bus, James had a beard and I didn't. It was great.
Let's go about that width there. One of my favorite things about gaff is how nicely and cleanly it rips.
It's true.
That.
The king of tapes.
Sticks to everything, comes off cleanly.
A little lower, Ian.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Lower. Too low. Ma Pete. Thank
All
you very
right.
much.
One last
appreciate
one last try to make sure it's still in working order. Shall we?
We're going to have to write a label on that. Do not unwrap.
Look, it's hardly even noticeable.
Get it on the close cam. Let's see it, actually. Let's see how we did.
Here.
Yeah, there we go.
Look.
Oh, wow, it is. You can
Oh.
barely tell.
If your eyes are bad, you can't tell at all.
Yeah. It's slightly out of focus, but I'm not
Stop.
going to get up and fix that, so it doesn't really
Pull,
matter.
pull back a bit. There we go.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Look at that.
That's the stuff.
Ooh, the secrets that lie within this humble adapter. All right.
We should label it so that we know what it does.
It's probably a good idea, yes.
Yeah.
Because we have like 5 of these.
And get some silver Sharpies. Or the actual label maker.
We have lots of labeling options. What?
Actually, no, I can see the bend in it. It's arced up that way.
What did James do to this?
There's the chat is concerned that there might be a battery bulge.
Oh,
Oh, that could be.
Could be some swelling, but I don't know.
that. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
That-
Jesus,
Oh,
really?
Oh, geez, yeah. Yes.
We should tell him.
Yes.
Yeah, that's definitely a bit of a bulge.
I don't think we leave this laptop anywhere that's not fireproof for the next while.
Do we have anywhere that is fireproof?
Well,
The
let's,
sink.
Let's
The sink with the water pouring on it.
maybe we power it off. We take the battery out and put the battery in the sink or something.
The dishwasher.
Yeah, put it in the dishwasher. It's a stainless steel tub, right?
Yes.
It won't. You can't burn through it.
We just put the lithium-ion battery in the
dishwasher.
in the dishwasher with a sign that says "Do not turn on," which would be the first time that the dishwasher would be turned on. Or
Okay.
any office. I'm not throwing any of my office mates under the bus.
That's fair. That's fair.
So can we, wait,
Yeah, there we go.
see it? Oh no, let's skip this. Okay,
Okay,
Oh,
I'll
yeah,
do
no-
it from the side one.
all right, we'll do it from the side one.
Okay. Boom.
All right, here we go. We plug it in. Do, 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 do. Boop. And working good. And then we unplug it.
Yank. And it's still there.
Do, do, do.
Huh.
I love it.
I'm very happy with that.
And the computer's just like, doop-a-doop-a-doo. Yep, I don't see anything wrong here. This all seems perfectly fine to me. That actually happened to my phone. Like I was having all sorts of battery problems, and so I had to get my battery. I got my battery replaced in my phone, like 3 weeks before they did the like free battery replacement program, of course. But when they when they take it in, the guy was like, "Yeah, oh yeah, I can see you have a problem," and I hadn't noticed it, but the screen was actually like lifting a little, like it actually, the battery had puffed up a little bit and was actually pushing the screen out.
Wow.
And so like he replaced it, and he was like, "It's like, do you want your battery back?" And I'm like, "No."
No. Which can actually be really bad, actually, for some of the newer waterproof phones.
Yeah,
If you get
exactly.
any separation there. Oof.
All right, and then
Well,
book.
100% success.
Super de duper.
I'm amazed and confused. No, I'm not confused.
I think this is entirely reasonable occurrence that has happened. Success at what we intended to do.
Our success rate is going up and up and up on this show.
All right.
Well, yeah.
Thank you for joining us. I guess we'll.
I think that's probably a good time to wrap. It's a little earlier than usual, but
we can talk about coming up in the week, coming up streams.
yes, Beej, what is showing later this week?
Hey, check it out, guys. Now, Kiss is coming up tomorrow, first thing, 9:30 a.m. They're playing Arcana, the Mystic Romance. That's Kathleen, and I believe Heather is joining her tomorrow for that.
Yeah,
Nice.
It's a mobile game. They just loaded it onto this iPad here. It looked very very silly.
And,
Good, glad we didn't ruin the iPad
Yeah.
somehow.
And how do I move to the next one?
Just click on it.
Look, it works.
We got the crapshoot, where we're going to be
Filming and editing, I think.
Yeah, this is going to be film 2, edit 1, hopefully.
Hopefully.
Kind of thing.
The big ones.
Should be good.
Right. Tomorrow is also the release day for God of War, the new one,
Ooh.
with angry, bearded dad God of War.
And it's Adam's coming in to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
Adam is super stoked about that.
I've heard some very good things about this.
This is running up very tight next to the crapshoot then, because
Yeah,
it
so
starts at
it
3.
goes
Yeah.
crapshoot, Adam's Game House, and then immediately into Friday Night Paper Fight, where
Which
we're going
will-
to be playing Commander, and Adam is going to be playing in that as well.
And
So
these are going to be homebrewed decks too. If I
yeah,
recall.
some homebrew Commander decks. Ben and Adam and Graham and Serge are going to be playing a good Commander game.
Nice.
Uh,
Then on Saturday,
And then Saturday, more God of War on the Game House.
Makes sense. But that's
Uh,
because later on,
it's Loading Ready Live.
Loading Ready Live after taking a week, after taking the last Loading Ready Live off because we had the pre-release going on.
The triumphant return. And then on Sunday, Heather and I will be going back to the world of Unison, Rebels of Rhythm and Dance, but this time in English. We're actually going to get the indicators on screen. That is a brutally hard game. You know, most rhythm games, you've got a pattern, and then it shows you the pattern, and then you're supposed to push the sticks in time. This one makes you memorize it. You go through patterning back after the guy who tells you what to do and shows you a little bit which direction to put your sticks in time with the music. And then you have to go to performance mode. And if you fail, game over.
So it's like Guitar Hero or whatever, but you don't have the track of stuff coming towards you.
Yeah, it's like the track stuff is practice mode if you want to do it real and you progress the game, because the only way to progress the game is to go to performance mode.
I wonder why they didn't make any more of these.
Holy doodle! And you guys were playing it in Japanese.
Oh yes, yeah, yeah. So lots of direction-based instructions in Japanese. I have to keep going because my favorite Japanese folk song is in this game.
Oh no! Right? Yes. But then of course we go right into Checkpoint on Monday, followed up with more Dice Friends,
Which is a
5.
brand new campaign.
Absolutely.
No
Yeah,
information yet.
Yeah, new campaign, but it will. Cam is going to be the DM again.
Yes.
But we have some new players.
But it's going to be new players and a whole new thing.
Yes.
And then we'll get to New Day Tuesday. You know how this all works out, guys. You've seen this before. We get to One more, they'll be talking sim, and then mine o'clock, and then watch and play, and then and I'm just done doing that now.
Okay.
We know what the week is like. You see that stuff run all the time.
As always, check out the calendar at loadingreadyrun.com/live or the events page. We will endeavor to keep those updated as much as possible. Obviously, sometimes that doesn't happen, as with the tofu thing.
Yes, which will be coming back in 2 weeks' time.
Yes.
Do not worry, I have all the material sitting in my fridge. As we said, check out loadingreadyrun.com for all the great shows. Yes, we'd like to thank everyone for their support that they give to us here at Loading Ready Run, be it at our Patreon at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun, or for those of you here at twitch.tv who choose to give us bits, and for those who choose to subscribe, like GoAmpDog2, who subscribed for 37 months. Hi, don't hurt yourself. It's just going on its own.
Yeah, it is.
Nick Arrow for 19 months. Sweet stuff.
Dirt Cadaver has subscribed for 8 months. Thank you, Dirt Cadaver.
Billy Two Shoes for 2 months.
Thank you, Billy.
How appropriate.
Misbehaving Maidens is a brand new subscriber. I've met you in person. Thanks for joining.
Joker Mage is a new subscriber. Welcome, Joker Mage.
Hawk Creek for 8 months. Almost got a sub, but he didn't get the job. You guys helped me stay hopeful. Love the things you do. Keep on keeping on. Keep on keeping on yourself. Good luck next time on that job stuff.
It's 5 seconds. But... and
thank you so much to Lurker Spline, Z Alpha, Railroad Tycoon 2, and Rock Pusher, as well as Drasvin for those 1,050 bits. Da bits.
And as a reminder, don't do it now, but just so you know, if you are an Amazon Prime subscriber, there is that deal where for $1 you get 500 bits, which is a great deal. So you get $5 worth of bits for $1.
Steal from the rich and give to a streamer.
Exactly. So you can give that to whatever streamers you so desire to give it to.
It's a little bit more money in Canada, but not that much more money in Canada. So just throwing that out there so you're not caught unawares.
You're getting more free bits in that point.
I guess still.
Of exact same amount.
Yeah, it's all worth the worth.
Yeah. So thanks so much.
There's a straw poll. I forgot.
Oh yes, the straw poll.
The straw poll. Okay, TTSF tonight we hack HDMI with Paul as the co-host or in the co-host seat. What shall happen? Let's look at these results.
Everything went fine.
All right.
That's probably not one of the results.
That really should be one of the options.
We had 93 votes. So the final option, the lowest option with 12 votes is, and now an option written by my cat, who's joined me right now, Mao purr, adjective, meow purr. Translated as Paul loses his left foot.
Jesus.
That's an evil cat.
With 12 votes, Paul gets a small cut on his hand for ever giving the HDMI cable a taste for blood, and then they forgot which one it is. 15 votes, the streams will now broadcast all Ian all the time, just all of him. 16 votes gets together.
TOS?
Together, they invent Vanta HDMI. With 19,
very dark HDMI.
And so this is tied for first place. With 19 votes, Paul, during the commercial break, stealthily installs Linux in Ian's mustache, causing driver conflicts when Ian tries to groom later. Or it would have been, the HDMI no longer auto-detects. It has been demoted to auto... I almost mispronounced that. It no longer auto-detects. It's been demoted to auto-constable after its most recent performance review.
Ooh, nice. Nice.
Angry.
Well, you're now. I'm further promoting you now as a citizen of the region here. You are now the HDMI commissioner. Get behind the desk. You're off the streets.
This is the everything is fine HDMI plug. It just tells the computer that everything's fine all the time, regardless of whether everything's fine or not.
It's a very supportive plug.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, everyone, so much for your support here, be it just monetarily or just being in the channel. We love having you here. You're the entire reason we keep doing this. Hit the follow button if you haven't, and thank you again so much for watching. We will see you in a fortnight with Tofu. As always, ever forward.
Never learning.